What's up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about one of the most passive side hustles that there is. The problem is there's a lot of debate on whether or not it's actually worth it, and that is Bitcoin mining. Now, whenever it comes to side hustles, side gigs, and revenue streams, you can't get much more passive than turning on a computer and letting it run all day and night. And that is essentially what Bitcoin mining is. But the real question is Bitcoin mining worth it? And can you actually make money doing it? So in this video, what I want to do is I want to break down what Bitcoin mining is. I want to talk about what you would need in order to get started with Bitcoin mining, along with the total initial investment of a side gig like this. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be breaking down whether or not this is a side gig and a passive income stream that is worth pursuing. So let's get started. So let's first start off this video by talking about what cryptocurrency, or more specifically, Bitcoin mining is. When it comes to creating Bitcoin and actually getting the Bitcoin, the way that it's created is through a process called Bitcoin mining. Now, this is a very similar process to like the olden days whenever we were mining gold. But instead of going into mine shafts with your shovel and your pickaxe and spending all day long mining at rocks in order to find gold, you instead set up a bunch of computers. Those computers run an algorithm all day and all night. And as a result, they slowly mine Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin mining, there are tons of different people and people of all spectrums who are mining for Bitcoin. There are like full-fledged corporations running factory farms in cold parts of the world mining for Bitcoin on an extreme level with millions of dollars worth of equipment. And on the flip side, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have people like me and you who could buy a rig for a couple $1,000s. They could run an algorithm on that rig, and thus they could slowly mine Bitcoin on their own. This is something that is accessible to really anybody that wants to do it, but the real question is it worth it? And that brings us to how you can get started mining Bitcoin. So whenever it comes to actually mining the Bitcoin, the first thing that you would have to do is get your computer or your rig that would be used in order to actually mine the Bitcoin. Now, my understanding of mining rigs, at least from what I gathered researching for this video, is that you can't just use any computer. Like, I couldn't use my Apple MacBook Air that is sitting right here in order to mine for Bitcoin. I couldn't even use my brand new iMac Pro that's sitting in my office. I would instead have to buy a very specific computer that can handle the load that is required in order to mine for Bitcoin. This oftentimes comes with like high-end gaming computers or cryptocurrency mining specific rigs. Now, the cost of this varies greatly from rig to rig. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, there are people out there who have millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, invested in hundreds of different rigs that run in very cold parts of the world that can mine for Bitcoin on a very, very extreme level. But on the flip side, you have people like me or like you who obviously don't have millions of dollars to spend on mining rigs, and they instead spend a couple of thousands of dollars. And researching this video, I found a number of rigs that were like $1,000. I saw some that were in the $2,000 to $5,000 range, and I saw a lot that were even more expensive than that, ranging in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. When researching for this video, I did find the Shark Mini, which is the rig that's right here, and this was kind of considered to be one of the best out-of-the-box rig solutions for mining cryptocurrency. It has the price tag of $5,290, which is quite expensive, and I got some sticker shock from that myself. Now, granted, there are probably ways to get a rig significantly cheaper than this, so I'm not going to say that you have to spend $5,290 in order to get started cryptocurrency mining, but this Shark Mini was considered to be a really great solution and a really great rig for cryptocurrency mining from a number of different sources. But it does look as though even if you're looking for something cheaper and maybe less legit than the Shark Mini, you're still probably going to have to spend at least $1,000 for a computer that can mine for crypto. Now, once you have your crypto rig set up, the next step is to get a offline crypto wallet. Now, this is a device that is used to store your cryptocurrency that you mine from your crypto rig. And the reason why it's important to have one of these is that you need a safe place to store your cryptocurrency. Because if you store your cryptocurrency online, it runs the risk of getting hacked, of getting stolen, things like that. Now, funny enough, I actually have a cryptocurrency wallet. This is called the Ledger, and this is the one that I use to store my cryptocurrency. basically what this is it's basically just a fancy USB with a screen on it. It's super password protected. You have to have a password, and then there is like a 23-word phrase that you have to know as well in case you forget your password. It is way more secure than keeping your cryptocurrency on your computer on like a standard disk or a USB drive. I don't know where you would store it otherwise. But this cost me about $120, I believe, but they range in price from $75 upwards to a couple of $100 depending on what type of wallet you go with. But this is the one that I went with. I will include a link to this down in the description below. Now again, I have the crypto wallet because I bought cryptocurrency. I do not mine cryptocurrency. So this is just where I store the cryptocurrency that I purchased. I personally don't have an interest in mining crypto, but you would have to use that if you started accumulating crypto in any sort of substantial way. The next step of the process is to join a mining pool. Now, this is something that there's a lot that involves joining a mining pool, and there's a lot of different details that go into this, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go into all of the details. But basically, my understanding of what a mining pool is that whenever you are mining for cryptocurrency, it's basically like the little guy versus the big guy, that there are large corporations that go to very cold parts of the world, and they have invested millions and millions of dollars into very extreme mining rigs. And these people have an advantage over the little guy like me or you who are just wanting to mine for cryptocurrency in our free time. So a way to kind of combat the big corporations that are mining for crypto on an extreme scale, people have created mining pools. And you can join a mining pool, and basically what you do is you combine all of your technology, all of your mining equipment together as a way to more efficiently mine for cryptocurrency. Now, my understanding of mining pools is that you don't have to be a part of one. Like, it's not a requirement in order to mine for Bitcoin, but it is a really good idea if you want to increase the chances of getting any sort of reward from mining. So though it's not required, it is highly recommended that you join a mining pool if you ever want to see any money from your mining venture. The next step after you join a mining pool is to join a mining program. Now, I'm not going to go into details with this here because there are free options for mining programs. So the point of this step of the process is that if you want to get into crypto mining in a very cost-effective way, there are a bunch of free programs out there that you can download onto your mining rig, and then that runs the mining algorithm in the background. But that is my understanding of kind of how it works, though the exact nuances of this process are a bit over my head. But long story short, you have to get a mining program, but that mining program in some cases can be free depending on what type of program you choose. And then after that, you start mining, and before you know it, you're going to have a bunch of Bitcoin, and you're going to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars in some cases. I wish that was true, because if that was, I would go buy about 5 of these mini sharks, but unfortunately that is not the reality of the situation. The fact is, these are kind of a rough outline of the steps that go into mining for cryptocurrency, but the fact is there are a lot of other factors that come into play when deciding whether or not cryptocurrency is something that is a viable passive income source. Just in this portion of the video of where we've gotten so far, we are in a couple of thousands of dollars into a mining rig. We've purchased a Bitcoin wallet for, let's say, $150. So we have quite a significant investment into this passive income stream, and we haven't even started mining for Bitcoin yet. Now, one of the biggest costs associated with mining for Bitcoin and for cryptocurrency is the electricity cost. Electricity is a huge cost of mining for cryptocurrency. In fact, a study published by BBC reported that Bitcoin consumes more electricity than the entire country of Argentina, and Bitcoin has a carbon footprint equal to New Zealand. So there are quite a lot more costs to mining Bitcoin and using Bitcoin than simply just buying a really nice computer. Now, when researching for this video, I tried to figure out the average cost of electricity for mining 1 Bitcoin, but this was kind of tricky because of the fact you don't mine just 1 Bitcoin, you mine a block, which is equal to 6.25 Bitcoins. And the fact is, electricity costs vary greatly depending on where you are, what your contract with your provider is, what type of electricity you use, and so many other factors like that. One thing I've mentioned throughout this video is like the factory farming for crypto mining. And a lot of times these huge crypto mining operations are located in very cold climates because of the fact that the electricity used to cool the computers is substantially less compared to somebody like me, for example, who would live in Texas. But I did try to figure out what the average cost of electricity for mining one Bitcoin is, and I wasn't able to find a consistent answer to this. Some people reported that it costs about $3,500 to mine one Bitcoin. Some sources said it costs closer to $8,500. Some said $9,500. Some said upwards past $10,000. The fact is, the amount of money it costs to mine a single Bitcoin is not level, it's not equal amongst all Bitcoin miners, and it will be heavily impacted by so many different factors. But the fact is, mining Bitcoin has an extreme cost of electricity, and depending on where you live, that cost could be something like $3,000 or it could be as high as $10,000. But the fact is, electricity cost is just one of the pieces of the puzzle for the profitability of Bitcoin mining. And the fact is, there are a lot of other aspects that come into play as well, including your ROI, which takes into account the time that it would take for you to make your money back on an investment like the rig we discussed earlier. Now, whenever I was researching how much you can make per day mining for Bitcoin, again, I wasn't able to ever find a solid answer to this question because of the fact that there are so many different variables that come into play, including what type of rig you have, including how many rigs you have, including where you're located, your electricity costs, and also the price of Bitcoin. The fact is, if you're mining for Bitcoin today in February of 2021, you're probably making more money than you were this time last year, at least on a time per time basis. Now, whenever I was looking up some articles for this video, I did find one article that said that with a rig similar to the Shark Mini, which is the one we mentioned earlier in this video, if you had 10 of those, you could potentially mine up to 0.01 Bitcoins per day. Now, that isn't a perfect equation, but that's kind of the rough number that they gave. Now, sitting here today, if you were to have 10 rigs valued at $5,000 each and you mined 0.01 Bitcoins per day, that means that you are making on average about $500 per day. But you have to have 10 of those rigs, which is a bit unrealistic for the average person. So let's say that you only had one of those rigs. Well, that means that you're making 1/10 of that, which means that you're making $50 per day mining Bitcoin, which sounds actually pretty decent. Now, if you had that exact same setup this time last year when Bitcoin was only valued at about $10,000, well, that means that you're only making about $10 per day per rig. With this equation, if you were to have 10 rigs and each one was valued at about $5,000, it would take you about 100 days to mine one single Bitcoin, which means it would take you about 100 days to get back your ROI on the investment of buying that rig to begin with. And that does not take into account the electricity costs that is associated with mining as well. Now, when it comes to Bitcoin mining, I know that this video has just barely scratched the surface of all of the details that go into this business. And I will admit that as far as passivity goes, you can't really get much more passive than Bitcoin mining. But that's not the question of this video. The question isn't, is crypto mining passive? The question is Bitcoin and crypto mining worth it? And my opinion and my answer is no, probably not. The fact is, this is definitely a passive income stream. And if you're somebody that is interested in crypto, if you're interested in computers, if this is something that you find fun, entertaining, and interesting, then I think that it is an awesome hobby to take part in, and it's one that you can definitely make some money while doing it. But is it a passive income stream that you should invest money into for the sole purpose of making an ROI? And I simply feel as though there are too many factors out of your control. It is too expensive, and the ROI is simply not worth it. The fact is, in the world of cryptocurrency, the currency in general is just too speculative, too volatile, and too risky at this point for me to ever feel comfortable in investing thousands of dollars in a rig to slowly mine Bitcoin day after day. Whenever we start talking about the environmental impacts and the electricity costs, that adds complications to the entire equation as well. When doing research for this video, I saw a number of different articles state that Bitcoin mining is a great hobby. It can be a great passive income stream, but the fact is, it is not the best way to acquire Bitcoin. And almost every single article that stated this stated that buying Bitcoin is actually the best way to buy Bitcoin. I think that if you're somebody who's wanting to get into Bitcoin, I think that your money and your time is better spent making money that can then be used to buy Bitcoin. Starting a business, doing freelancing, starting a Turo fleet, starting a YouTube channel. There are so many different ways that you can use out there to make money that have a significantly smaller initial investment than Bitcoin mining. And ultimately, you can use those profits to purchase Bitcoin and then reap the benefits whenever Bitcoin increases. But with that being said, you guys, I hope that you found this video interesting. I know that the world of Bitcoin, crypto mining is something that I find very fascinating, if not extremely intimidating. So I hope that this gave you some valuable insight into the world of Bitcoin mining and whether or not this is a viable and profitable income stream. But with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, then make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.